Rebels, we are back today and super excited to be able to talk to Brad Davis, founder of Customer Success Panda. Success Panda is amazing. I'm going to let him share with you some of the good he's doing around our community to help others inside of tech and success. But thanks, Brad, for hopping in today on the show.
Good to talk to you again, Dana.
I know. I feel like so. It's interesting because we talk a lot about kind of journey, and it always is kind of funny, Brad, because it's this Hallmark vibe, right? But I think it's important to think about stories and how we got to where, we are as humans, not just where the whole professional trail has taken us. So tell us a little bit about your journey along the way. I know you've led some amazing teams to some impactful success. Love to dig in a little bit there if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah. So let's see. I got into customer success in 2016. That was my official start date. And so having success in customer success teams and leading teams, I've been leading CS teams in Series A companies and small startups for a minute, which has pros and cons. As I tell people, all of life is trade-offs. But the good thing about working in a startup, Dana, is that you do what I call full stack CS work. Full stack, for me, there's the customer journey, can start as soon as pre-sales, and then we have onboarding, which refers to people, implementation refers to tech, integration, adoption, expansion, renewal. So doing that type of work in early stage startups is actually a lot of fun because I'm a creative at heart. So I like creating something out of nothing. And, that's manifested through different things in my life. Like I used to have a custom furniture business and I now am, founder of Success Panda. And so I like creating something out of nothing, whether it's my own thing or at customer, like within the framework of working for a company. I think it's been really fun. Yeah, I mean, as far as achieving a lot of the things over my career with high developing teams, I would just say that I have opportunity when you work in startups to make a substantial difference because typically CS can have a lot of say over product decisions, a lot of sway over how the sales or go to market motion works, and have been able to have my hands in a lot of those cookie jars to help out because customer success is important to obviously CS, but it is to product and to everyone else cross-functionally too. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun working in startups. Sometimes fun wouldn't be the word to describe it because it can be chaotic, but that's the life I chose.
Understood.
Yeah.
Furniture. What kind of furniture, Brad? I have to know. What kind of furniture?
So you would fit my ICP for all the people I sold to.
Oh, okay.
So the company was called Cincinnati Farmhouse Tables, and it was funny because, like, I remember when I was thinking about what I'm going to call this company, and then someone told me, like, hey, if you call it the SEO, like, if you just type in to where you live, and then you type in farmhouse tables, you'll be the first one to come up on the search result. And so I did that, and that's how I landed on the name Cincinnati Farmhouse Tables. So, like, I just tested it. I'm like, came up, SEO, first hit. And when I did that, it was interesting because I wasn't in CS yet, but I was working at a position. I originally actually started building tables. This is the story of it. I'm sitting in my living room watching YouTube, and I'm just watching this guy. I think his channel was called like DIY Pete or something. And I'm watching him build this farmhouse table because his wife asked him to. And of course, my wife walks in. We have one kid at the time. She's like, "Oh, can you build me one?" I'm like, "Sure, how hard could it be?" So I head down to Home Depot. I grab some wood. I grab, Craig jig and some stuff. And I come back, and I was living in a house that didn't have a garage at the time. I built it on my front porch. And the tuition of life, I spray painted something, and I was like, oh, I should put newspaper down because now there's a spot on my concrete. So it was a long learning curve, but long story short, it was I ended up being able to, I was making like six figures with that business. over a matter of about 4 years. I built it up. I ended up having a team of 6 people. And the best thing about doing that type of work was, if you've ever worked at corporate jobs where you felt underappreciated, which I'm sure no one has, everyone feels completely appreciated 100% of the time.
Completely,
Yeah,
100%,
yeah.
100%.
Everyone does. Everyone's read the studies. Everyone agrees. But I would make this table, right? And my best selling table was called a Fancy X table, which if you go on my LinkedIn, you can actually see the designs. But it's like a table that you could buy, at Pottery Barn, Restoration Hardware, like, some of these places. But it's made out of real wood. So my pitch was simple, like, hey, if you actually have kids and they scrape the top of it, it's not veneer, it's actual wood. You can just refinish it. So, and then it was cheaper than what they were selling it to, because my average price point was $600 to $700. Yeah. So I would just have customers that absolutely like loved me. I'd deliver a table. It made me a bit more buff back then too, because when you're used to carrying around like 100-pound tabletop, turns out you'll get stronger. But they would just say, "Oh, Brad, this is so amazing." They would just like fawn over it. I've been wanting this for so long. You did such a great thing by, making this, and it's handmade and it's bespoke to my exact measurements and things like that. And they would just heap all this praise on me. They'd invite me, "Hey, bring your family next Sunday. You're going to be the first person we share this table with. I'm going to make you my cheesecake. I'm going to make you ribs." And I'm like, I went once. I actually took someone up once on that, but then from that experience, I realized I probably shouldn't do this again.
Not all ribs are created equal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, so that was the incredibly rewarding thing about it, is that if you go from an environment, let's just say you're working at a company and you have a boss that may not appreciate you or anything you do. And then after work, people are inviting you over to their house so that you can share a meal with them at a table you made for them that they plan on having for 20 years. The emotional delta between those is so different, and it helps shape, I think, going forward, a lot of my opinions about being able to do work that, one, is needed, but then two, that people appreciate, and how to truly give to people, right? And I carried that forward as I got into customer success, and I do today with Success Panda. Success Panda is an aggregator that's trying to bring together all the things that make people successful in their career in customer success. And so just finding ways to continually give back and hopefully get invited to dinner. So it's all stomach driven.
And maybe have some good ribs, some
Yeah.
good ribs if you come to. But I mean, the thing that's compelling for a lot of reasons. First of all, don't know if you know this about me yet, which if you don't, I'm surprised, but I'm a big foodie. And so one of the things that's important is, I think as humans, one of the like most compelling and amazing things that we can do for each other is to like share food
Mm-hmm.
and cook food and prepare food, home and hearth kind of thing. And so, like, I just love that. And so that's why I was always an Anthony Bourdain fan, because like he told all these stories and helped so many people under the guise of, hey, I'm just slinging food, right? I'm going to
Right.
go sling some food. So, but yeah, to kind of swing it over a little bit, we talk a lot, obviously, on the show about positive rebellion, not just in success, but really the whole like go to market function.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, what do you think that looks like? Like how do you think that is positively shown inside of how you show up? I know that you do a lot of different things for people, including some pretty cool, like, hey, helping people understand how to show up and do these things in ways that matter.
Yeah.
And like, what advice do you have there? And what do you think rebellion is?
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good question. And I think what came to my mind, and this, I'm kind of a one take on the podcast type guy, so this might be hitting the nail on the head or not. But the first thing that came to my mind is, like, if you want to have positive rebellion, I have over the past year spoken to over 400 people within go to market, right? either, coffee chats, doing, through coaching, mock interviews, you name it. Like, I've built up a decent data set of what is going on in the lives of, we'll say 80% of IC roles and about 20% of manager roles. And I can tell you that the state of leadership in many companies is challenging for a lot of IC roles, to put it diplomatically, right? So being a positive rebel, I would want to speak to the people managers, right? If you're managing people, you can be a positive rebel by doing the free things well. Okay?
Mm.
Do the free things well. You know how I told my story about how everyone, I'm sure, feels 100% appreciated all the time? Well, it turns out appreciation has a price tag of 0 on it. So does being kind, and so does giving acknowledgement, right? Management 101, I learned back when I was an undergrad, way back in the day, because that's been a minute. They told us praise in public, correct in private, right? So just Google, what do free things exist within management, and then do those things, right? Because there's a lot of people who are in IC roles where just because there's a difference between having a boss and being a leader. So we don't need to wax poetic about that, but if you don't have to be managing people to be a leader, but if you are managing people and you want to be a leader, like, do people willingly choose to follow you? And it turns out, Dana, that a lot of people might not necessarily have the knowledge base, because if you're going to be a leader, you have to provide clarity and you have to have a knowledge base to share. So if you find yourself in over your head as a first-time people leader, because let's say you get into some go-to-market position and realistically you kind of know you're not ready, right? Well, everyone has their first, people management role. But you should reach out for help, or you should go ask someone, or you should, just acknowledge where your deficits might be and then go and work on those. So I think that people having a healthy degree of self-reflection, self-realization, a lot more humility around people being able to say, I don't know, but let's figure it out, would make you a positive rebel. Not to wax poetic about it, but I just did, I suppose.
It's okay. No, I like it. I like it. I think I couldn't agree with everything that you just said more. And I think what's interesting about it is, showing up in that spirit, having the data behind it to say, hey, look, kindness matters. This is what you're seeing. And I know you see this all the time
Mm-hmm.
just because of, your position within the community and the ecosystem in general. And like you said, 400 people, right? I mean, so you see all the things, all the people talking about how great they and how happy they are getting taught, getting fantastic human and people first leadership in their roles.
Yeah.
But, right? Like, just
Yeah.
to go back to what you were saying before, but like, it's different to be afraid and to be alone. And then there's a whole nother piece of this, I think, that goes back to helping each other is actually like a tangible thing of value. And I think we talk a lot about that in the community. There's a lot of really great people in our community who say, hey, this is great content. This is why you should do this. Like, follow, share, all this. But I think that, and I'm one of those people transparently, right? But the thing is, the power of community is what keeps us at a place where if you're in a role trying to navigate a difficult people leader, if you're a scared person coming in who has some really big shoes to fill in this economy, you're really smart, you're really agile, you're able to come in and grab a role as a director level human. Chances are what you know from a content standpoint, because of the advent and adoption of AI and the technological sort of rapid roadmaps that are happening in our world, it's like if you're not part of something where you're learning almost constantly to get better for your team, better for yourself, and then focusing on that free stuff to do it right, then I think it can be really hard to sustain a role like that. I mean, it's almost like subscriptions in SaaS. It's not good enough just to sell yourself one time. You have to keep
Hmm.
reselling yourself.
Hmm.
And so I'm curious because, because you're here and I can. What are your thoughts on, community? I know that you have, Success Panda.
Hmm.
You're at a lot of events. You talk to a ton of people. You're helping a lot of people. Talk to us a little bit about that. Why do you do all of that stuff? I know you as a human. I know
Yeah.
why, but
Yeah.
I think it would be cool for people who may be looking for that kind of place to hear some of
Yeah. I mean, just fundamentally, everyone, you got to kind of identify your superpower. And um, I don't know if my response seems trite or overused, but one of my superpowers is just I fundamentally care about people. And it turns out when you care about people and you treat them uh, on a one-to-one basis, so not not to be be overly personal, but on the pre-show you were talking about like, hey, when you sat next to me at this event, and wanted to keep talking to me, I knew that like you were a good person, and I'm like, yeah, because I think we've all been in rooms where I remember this is so funny. This is another quick story. I was interviewing. I was looking for a position many years ago, and I was interviewing with this big bank that's all over the place. And the whole process was like it was literally like the Hunger Games where we got invited to this conference center to hear a presentation, and then we were supposed to do like 20 minutes of mix and mingling. And then they had like 20 employees from the company, and they just watch you and they tap you on the shoulder, and they basically like, hey, we want you to stay after so that you can interview. And then those people like started interviewing. But we've all been places where you can tell you're talking to someone, they're not really talking to you. They're waiting for you to finish up what they're saying so they can talk to the person behind you or the person next to you. And they're just kind of underwriting like, what can this person offer me? I don't move in the world like that. So things that I do because I'm trying to build fans. I'm trying to build fans of Success Panda. I'm trying to build fans of the space. I'm trying to help leaders do free things well. I'm trying to scratch my own itch that I personally feel in the satisfaction I get out of seeing somebody go from 0 to 1, or for landing a job, or there's a lot of motivations. And I think as far as community, and you brought in the topic of AI, like no human brain or no human being will be able to ever learn as quickly as like AI. So the way that I see it with Success Panda is, and this can make sense moving forward, is community is going to be the moat. So like in business, right? Go to market, people talk about having product moats or whatever. And in like recent AI news, we had DeepSeek roll up here, and for 1/20th of the cost of OpenAI was able to put out a pretty good version 1, and it cost. I mean, it didn't cost, but it disrupted the market $1 trillion in one day. I
Yeah.
mean, we're going to see as AI gets better, the commoditization of a lot of technology. So imagine AI becomes so good where it says, "Hey, develop out a website that's a duplicate of Snowflake, or a duplicate of what name the website." So to me, going forward, the moat is going to be the people that are in your tribe, the people that you serve, the people who willingly choose you. Because right now, there are a lot of companies where they are the provider, not because they are willingly being chose to, but it's because of out of expediency or out of necessity. So for example, if I tell you I get my gas at this gas station almost every, 2 weeks, but I don't have any loyalty to them. I only get it there because it's literally on my way from going from my point A to point B the majority of the time, right? So that gas station might think he's such a loyal customer, and he always gets his gas here. He comes in and he's friendly. Bro, I'm only friendly to you because I'm a friendly person, but you're selling gasoline. It's a commodity, you know? And
Yes.
I think I think too that we're going to see a lot more of that with AI, that as the technology gets better, whatever your offering is right now in your company, just expect more players to start coming in. And so I think that's a long-winded answer for just building The benefit of building community is to really protect you from AI, from being commoditized, as things will start to happen to where people will willingly choose to want to do business with you because you've either helped them before, you're given a 10x offer. So that's why it's important to me. I have a very long-term orientation to how I think. And I think when I have a long term, I'm not worried about what's going to happen this week or this month per se. But so I'm in it for the long haul. So I guess that's my long-winded answer.
Well, I'll say that. So in the long-winded but astutely put answer, sir, I will say that the whole moat thing, I think there's a lot of tea to that, to be honest, as the kids would say. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
a kid anymore, so I can say that's what the kids would say. It's like I'm starting to, like, from a humanity perspective, realize that if we have this sort of island mentality, it goes back to, like, Humean state of nature. I think you call it, I've heard you call it, I don't have that scarcity mindset.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, like, I think that, like, you know, having that whole genuine philosophy of, hey, if you're a good human
Mm-hmm.
and you do good stuff, then people remember that stuff, and then we can all maybe help each other out a little bit better. Like, I shouldn't, but I say, as a human, I say things like, I'll make a joke out of stuff like that on the backside. And I'll say, oh, well, that's my hallmark moment. Ha 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 ha. But
Yeah.
that's kind of crap in a way, because, like, it's real. I mean,
Well,
you're not
Dan,
gonna say this.
I
I mean, you've
still,
helped someone land, and I have to say this. Like, I know you're not gonna say this publicly, but you've helped someone land a $200,000 job recently. You're
yeah,
not gonna promote that. You're not gonna talk about that. You're a good human. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now.
yeah. Well, I was just gonna add, I still have people that send me from text from time to time because I don't know if I should say this publicly, but I've had the same phone number since I've been 18. So, which
Really?
I know it's shocking. People are like, which probably says more about my life, how it hasn't been so crazy enough where I've had to change my phone number multiple times. So maybe I need to go to, I don't know, do something crazy. But no, I still have people who send me text about their tables. They're like, hey, I see you're not doing this anymore, but our table needs refinished. Can you refinish it? And I'll be like, sorry, I'm busy, but I'll send them a YouTube video. You know? But that's what I mean is I don't
Yeah.
have to send them a YouTube video, or I can send them a referral of somebody I know that would do it. I don't even need to reply. And so that's why just recently, the job search and the market's competitive and we're talking about things like this. Like, it's hard. It used to be hard for me to understand why certain people did certain things until I realized that if you have no expectations of people, then everything is gravy, right? And we were talking about this pre-show. Like, I've had people on my show. Do they invite me on their show? No. Do I expect to? No. I don't have any like, if they want to invite me on their show, they can, right? If they want to follow up with me, they can. I don't have expectations of people. And when you don't, then every good thing that happens to you during the week is that much sweeter because you're like, oh, this is good. And it's really hard to get to a spot like that because you just have to, like, I'm someone who has faith in a higher power. So I've always been someone who's like, well, I've never been homeless. I've never gone hungry. It'll all work out. And every positive interaction I have, are just good moments. So it's a mindset I choose, but I'm happy. Like, I have problems like everyone else does, but I think too this circles back to the people leadership role. Like, everyone has problems in their personal life. Everyone's going through something. Everyone's generally, you try to give them benefit of the doubt, trying to do their best. But when you're a people leader, you have to still show up being positive with a smile, being encouraging, like learning how to solve problems, learning to help serve and focus on other people. And like, that's just something I've had a life of service, I guess, going back to even when I was a teenager. I liked to volunteer and do things. So I guess it's somewhat of a muscle that I've been exercising for a long time. More than my actual muscles, which you can tell from the video. I don't know if this will be on video or just audio, but hopefully for our viewing guests, it's audio only because
Stop it.
as I make the joke with people, it's when you have a face like this is why I'm on LinkedIn, not Instagram. So, but yeah, it's just you have to find that everyone has an operating system that they move about the world in, and I've just found that with mine, I'm not perfect. I still have challenges, but overall, if you give without any expectation of in return, it eventually does come back. Never in the timing that you think it will, right? Timing is always is the impossible thing to predict, but you feel good about it along the way because you just know that you're doing your best and you're helping people. And what else is there?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that that's a good thing. And, I recall, I'm not going to say which conference we were at, but I will say that we were at an event, and just to kind of bring it back to the whole because I think it's important that we share because you're talking about how you navigate the world. I think examples are really good.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the food. The food was better than most of these events. You know
Sure.
how that goes.
Yeah.
And then we were hanging out for a minute, and I remember you had your panda head, and you were like, "Can you hold my panda head for a minute?" And that was I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." There's so many people in this room. I'm kind of a newer person in this room. He's been in this room a lot longer than me, but he's going to let me hang out with this panda head. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was really honestly, I thought that was, I know you just probably had to go to the bathroom or whatever you did, right? But as silly as that sounds, that was a little thing that meant quite a bit. And so what I'm trying to mean is whether it's, hey, hold my panda head, hey, you know, you're having a rough week this week, let's talk about it. You know, being willing to listen. That's the stuff I think fundamentally that I don't want to say separates a genuine from non-genuine. I think and respect everyone that shows up in their own way, and I celebrate those things. But I do think that ability to just be leading in that lens of, hey, I want to help, it
Yeah.
does have a lot of value, and it makes other people feel that and want to. And again, I'm not going to name drop, but it's amazing to me that I know there's people that in your network that have went on to build their own brands and
Mm-hmm.
and are helping people in their own ways. And so anyway,
Yeah.
long-winded way. We're both long-winded today.
No, I would just say it's thorough. But going back to what you just said, Dana, though, you're like, oh, I'll work with people who show up. It's like not me. I only want to show up with people who I really want to be close to people who are authentic.
Yeah.
And going back to this event that we both went to. It's funny. It made me think of a quote my mother-in-law gave me in the second year I was married.
Ooh. Okay. Okay.
She turned to me one time. We were over there for dinner. She said, "Brad, you really don't care what other people think of you, do you?" And I was like, well, I guess I do, but in a way I don't, but we have a great relationship. I love her. She's great. When we were at this event, when I'm wearing my panda head, I remember talking to other people, and there was this woman walking right next to me, and I turned to her and I'm wearing it. I said, "Hey, what's up?" And she was like, "Wow, you're super brave. I would never do that." And I was just like, I guess I'll take that as a compliment. But I think what it is the best content is where you get to meet people, you get to see moments of vulnerability where people are just people. You have open form content where people can talk about what's going on. And in a world where we can choose to consume any content that we want, to me it's just how I've always been. I've never been like a plastic corporate person. Like if you watch my Friday show, the customer success show, you'll see that I am who I am. Whether that's good or bad, that's been debatable. But there is no Brad at work and then Brad at home. I'm just the same guy, and my motivations and I wear on my sleeve. There's no gotchas. It's just there literally are some people in the world who just go about, they enjoy just helping see others succeed, right? And one of the big sayings that I live by is a Stephen Covey quote. When it comes to building relationships, it's with people, fast is slow and slow is fast. So I try to find ways to go slow with people, right?
Yeah.
This includes like on LinkedIn, I'll reach out and just most of the time I almost never pitch slap people. I try to get to know them. You try to go slow. If you have the benefit of going slow with people, I would always prefer it. But most of the time, if people feel like they need to make a sale now because they got to get the next quarter, earnings, they need it now, everything's now. It becomes much more challenging. It's harder to build relationships that way. So if you have the benefit of going slow with people, please do it, because I can tell you that every relationship that I have where things have gone slow and just developed organically, it's quite rewarding and mutual.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm curious and I can't believe it, but we're already coming close to time because we've been having fun between this and the pre-show. But, I'm curious, you've shared some things about, job search, and I know that you've coached and helped other people along the way. What's you know, the kind of 30-second thought around what would be most important in your opinion as somebody's going through and navigating that right now, looking for a career,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not just in CS, but like marketing, sales, all of those worlds. I mean, what are you seeing from people you're talking to? What advice might you share?
I only get 30 seconds. It's
I
impossible.
know it's bad. I know. I do this on purpose, you know?
I
No, I'm
know.
just kidding.
Okay. So, yeah, no, I mean, I guess in 30 seconds, the biggest thing that I see is if you had to give a percentage split between how does one find a job in this market? Is it through like resume excellence and, your formatting of your resume and the experience you have, or is it networking? In the people I would squarely put it at 90% networking and 10% whatever it is you have on paper. I would say that a lot of times resumes are just formalities, and in really tough job search environments, it's really about who you know and or third degree connections, who you know that knows someone else, right? And a lot of the people that I've seen be successful in my coaching practice that have landed jobs, um, it's like if you say finding a job is 50% luck and timing and 50% preparation. The thing is you never know when your moment's going to come, right? So take a football analogy, like Tom Brady got his opportunity came when his QB1 went down, Drew Bledsoe went down. He had the opportunity to step in and start, which he never lost that job afterwards, right? So you never know when your opportunity is going to come, but it still means you need to be prepared, right? You still have to have a good resume, have great interview technique, and know how to close out job offers when your opportunity comes. But it takes luck, it takes the correct timing. So just understand, if you're someone who's a long-term job seeker or you've been looking and you're frustrated, just know that there is a big element of timing and luck in that, that your time will come, but it's on you. You can only control what you can control. So you need to make sure that your axe is sharp, that you're prepared, so that when your time comes, you can land that position. But also, like I said, continue to network with people, find communities, like this one, Rebels of SaaS, or find a community that you feel is a good fit and get to know people. Because what I found in life is we get the things we want through other people. All of the happiness in my life, from my family to a lot of the friendships I have, comes through other people. So start getting comfortable with getting to know other people, because that's where I think all the happiness and success lies.
Just to wrap that up just a little bit, because I loved it. I think, you know, be willing to, you know, dress up in an awesome Panda outfit versus a $5,000 suit, and see what you observe and take things slow when you're talking to people and watch for authenticity. I think that's all things that, I mean, to be honest, that's stuff that I think you and I talk about when we're not here, and those things that we talk about when we're here. And I know that's things that you just kind of exemplify as a human. So, and I think it's good advice. Those slow things, taking things slow with humans over time,
Hmm.
and really truly caring. You've used the word, creating fans of fans, and that's the celebratory word. And it's just really cool to kind of think about.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of CS. Like when you're in interviews, I tell people, yeah, we want to make money, but ultimately we want to create fans out of our product, right? And so creating fans is kind of the work of business, right? And some people do make that the work of their life. And yeah, we'll all choose our path, and I'm a big fan of the path of going slow with people and just being open and honest about who you are. So we'll see. If you see me and I'm homeless under your interstate, you can hand me $10.
Give
Um,
the man some good ribs. Give the man some good
or you
ribs.
can invite me to. I can refinish your table, but good things are to come, right? The
Yes.
sun's the sun's always been rising. There are good things. There's a lot of good people, and I think just having an optimistic attitude is always super beneficial, no matter what you're doing professionally.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, it's just been great catching up, Brad. Thank you for sharing some advice, things you've observed just from the conversations you've been having with people, and just seeing, documenting, learning, helping us to grow is so super important. Um, I'm curious, obviously Success Panda, all the things, but tell us how to find more Brad.
Yeah. So, I mean, you'd make me happy. You get a gold star if you sign up for Success Panda, and I'll send you a message on there. We have free accounts, free memberships. You can become a member there. Or you can send me a DM on LinkedIn, or you can come to our Wednesday group coaching. Right now it's $10 a month. So it's really just meant to be a community where I work through my job framework, tier 1, 2, and 3, on how to land your next position. Or you can send us a comment on the Customer Success Show on Friday. I'm everywhere. I'm like Oprah. I'm all over the place. I'm not hiding, so it's easy to find me. So however best you want to engage with me, feel free to. I'm always happy to make new friends.
Love it. Be strong, be brave, be fearless. You're never alone. Joshua 1:9, right? Love it.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. And until next time that we chat, don't be afraid to do it big and do it different. Bye for now.
See you guys.